Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody, it's Cindy here. Thanks for joining me today on the Life Makeovers podcast. Before I roll into the subject of the day, I want to encourage every single one of you. If your life is not perfect, to go to timewithcindy.com and schedule a free midlife strategy session with me. Because I want to be a guiding light for you. I want to give my time to you because I'm on a mission for every woman in midlife to feel better about herself and to feel better about her life and to feel like she can navigate anything that comes her way. That includes all of you. So get on my calendar, timewithcindy.com. Book an appointment with me, and then check your email box. There's going to be a couple of emails. Sorry, I can't control that, if you can believe that. But anyway, there's kind of a generic one where the Zoom link will be in. And then there's another one that I've customized where you'll see a little video of me saying, oh, congratulations, great job. And then you'll be given the link for the session. And then you'll be given a link to go fill out the midlife confidence profile, which is a measurement tool I created to really look at all aspects of your life and how confident you are feeling in those. And it'll give you I can give you a quick understanding of what your answers mean or what they're showing or indicating when we get together in our session, and then we can talk about next best steps for you to build that confidence, because I happen to believe that it is one of the key qualities that we need to nurture in ourselves to build. So we feel able to handle anything life, anything that comes our way in life. And so we feel like leaders in our own lives where we can create whatever it is we want. So, join me in that effort, won't you? And let's get together, timewithcindy.com. Okay, so Monday I talked about life in terms of being love in full expression. That was an acronym I heard recently in a talk I heard, and I loved it so much that I wanted to share it. Today, I want to talk to you about generosity because I want to live in a world that is generous. And I do believe there's generosity all around the world. And I want to tell you a few little stories that might ignite your own generosity. Because listen, when we are generous in this world, and it comes in many, many forms, but when we are generous in this world, we feel better. We feel better about ourselves. It just gives us a good feeling, a good vibration inside. Because I think it's because we know that we're attempting to be helpful in whatever way. And that just feels so good. It feels good to serve others as long as we're not overextending ourselves and stressing ourselves out. But just that generosity overall is a yummy, yummy feeling. And it really begets more generosity. So the more generous we are out there, the more generous the world becomes. There's a ripple effect that's so positive. So it's very healthy to be generous and to look for ways that you can serve or offer something to give another or help in some way. So it's really to your benefit, as long as you're not overextending yourself or thinking you have to save everybody, or that you're supposed to drain yourself dry of all assets, resources, or physical or emotional energy in the name of giving to others. That's not generous. That's exhaustion. And that's a different thing. So one of the most amazing times that I experienced generosity toward me was way back when, in the late 80s. I was in college and I was dating a guy that eventually became my first husband. And there was an opportunity when we were seniors in college to take a trip to Israel, a 3-week trip, a college trip to Israel to study the Israeli culture and so forth. And we were both really attracted to going on that trip. We just both David and I just thought that would be the coolest thing. And how fun would it be for us to get to go together, because we were a couple and we were, we thought we were going to be together for the long haul and so forth. And so wouldn't that be a great memory to make our senior year? Well, for college students, it was very reasonably priced, but for me, I think it was $2,500. To me, that was a ton of money at that time. I mean, a ton. I was putting myself through school. I was working jobs already on the side of going to school full time. And it was a lot. And I was trying to figure out, how am I going to come up with this money? How am I going to come up with this money? And, I started looking into things and I got more jobs, and I even looked into what it would save me to move off campus and find a little old apartment and just, eat from the grocery store instead of in the campus cafeteria. And I did all these comparisons. And anyway, so throughout the months of the time where we had to register for this trip, there were times that David thought, oh yeah, I can go, I can figure this out financially. And there were times that I thought, oh, I can figure it out financially. And then he couldn't, and he could figure it out and I couldn't. And we were just kind of seesawing, but eventually we both, really got to the point where we thought we could figure it out. And I did. Like I got 5 jobs, and so I added a few jobs to the jobs I already had. And then I was planning to move off campus for a semester to save money as well. So anyway, I had this kind of figured out, but hadn't really shared with anyone that I had figured it out. And David and I went home to his parents for a weekend just to visit. And his dad pulled me aside. And he was a farmer. He was a superintendent of schools. He was a pastor. He was on the city council. I mean, this man has done everything in his lifetime. Very, very kind, generous, smart, loving person. But anyway, so this is my boyfriend's dad. Okay, my boyfriend's dad at the time, and he pulled me aside, and he said, how's it going getting your money together to go to Israel? Are you going to be able to do it? And I just looked at him. I was stunned, because I knew what his next sentence was going to, well, I didn't know the exact sentence, but I knew that he was going to offer me the money anyway. But I just kind of looked at him, and he goes, because I thought I could sell one of my cows for you or something. And I thought I would die right there. I mean, right there on the spot. I can still see in their house, in my mind, this was 1988, people. This was a long time ago. And I know exactly where we were standing at the time. I can see his face. He's so humble. He was just like, I mean, he was offering to sell one of his cows to pay pay a chunk of my way to be able to do this college trip. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. But I think I've got it figured out. And he goes, okay, just let me know. And I mean, he just acted like he was offering me, a soda or something. And he's just a good old middle class, hardworking man, like most people, right? Not rich, not poor, just good old middle class person. But he's that generous. Like here I was, just the son's girlfriend. And he's offering me a couple $1,000 so I can just go gallivanting around Israel on a college trip for a few weeks. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I just was just stunned, but I knew he meant it. I knew it was genuine. And that, my friends, is true generosity. Just the offer, even though I did not need to accept it. I did not accept it, did not need to, because I was willing to work 5 jobs and move off campus to save enough money to be able to do it. But just the thought that he would do that just nearly knocked me over. So, I that's the world I live in, is the world of generosity like that. And I don't think he would have ever asked me to pay him back. Now maybe he would have. I don't know. He's just I just don't know if he would have at that time in my life and so forth. And of course I did end up marrying his son, and then I ended up divorcing his son like 22 years later, but that's a whole other story. My point is that, Galen was just humbly, kindly, generously offering me that with no conditions, no ego, no nothing, just pure, kind generosity. So that's one example. And then there's other examples. More recently, I think this was last year, a friend of mine was going through the drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts. Okay. We're going from cows to Dunkin' Donuts. Okay. And you've probably heard a story similar to this. But anyway, she got up to the window to pay for her coffee or whatever she ordered at Dunkin' Donuts. And the person serving the order to her said, "Oh, you know what? The car ahead of you has already paid for your uh your coffee or whatever. They paid ahead. They paid it forward." And she was like, "What? Oh my gosh." And so then she said, "Well, let me pay for the next car then." So she paid for the next car order. Well, anyway, one of my friends was even further down the line. Now, I just want you to know that we're not all gathering in Dunkin' Donuts drive through all the time. But anyway, the point is, much later, another person I know went through the line at Dunkin' Donuts and had the same thing happening. And the server said to that person, "This has been going on all day long." Like it never stopped. People just kept paying the next car, paying for the next cars, paying for the next cars. I mean, I love that story. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, you don't even know who's you're paying for. You don't even know. You're just doing it because you want to be kind. You feel generous. You feel you're having fun. You're experiencing joy from doing it. And what does it cost? Well, it depends on the order behind you, but maybe $5, maybe 10, maybe 20 if it's a big day for you. Donuts. But the point is that people didn't need to know who was behind them. Did they like these people? Did they know these people? Or are these people they would agree with about everything in the world? Is this, none of that crap was getting in the way. It was just generosity all day long. I love that story. So recently, I like to do what I call sneaky generosity. Okay. I like to do sneaky generosity. So my latest act of sneaky generosity was, and I'm only telling you that, don't tell anybody, in case you know somebody who knows somebody who knows who this is, who might have been doesn't know that I did this. But recently, a friend of mine here locally went away for several weeks on a trip. And well, I mean, this was a couple months ago. But anyway, was going to be away from her house for like 6 weeks. Okay. And I had asked her before she left, if there was anything I could do, check on the house, check on this, do that, whatever. And she was like, "I don't think so, but thank you." And I'm like, "Okay." And she has family in town and stuff. And so I thought, okay, well, I won't worry about it. Well, then we had storms we had several different thunderstorms during the time that she was gone on her trip. And I thought, and she has trees in her yard, and I thought, I wonder if sticks have fallen down. I wonder if the wind was blowing pretty hard. She has some things, in her yard and decor and stuff outside. And I thought, I'm just going to do a little drive by. So I did a little drive by, and there were sticks everywhere. There were some things that had blown over. There were things, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to pick up these sticks and I'm going to set these things back up. So I just spent, maybe 10 minutes or whatever in her yard doing this. And I decided I'm going to check this yard every week while she's gone. And so I did. I think one time I waited 10 days or whatever, but I think 4 times in 6 weeks, whatever that averages out, I checked her yard and there was always something. There were always sticks because we had a lot of, like I said, we had a lot of storms in that stretch. So I made piles of sticks in a couple of different piles in her yard, and I set some things up and moved some things back in place and things like that, all the whole time that she was gone. And, total, this took me what, maybe an hour. I don't know. It wasn't much, but I just felt good because I thought, she's on this trip. I'm going to be her eyes, at least outside at her house. So her house looks like someone's watching it, someone's attending to things. And so she doesn't come home to a big old mess in her yard. So I did that. And I don't know if she knew, and I don't care if she knows, and all of that, because that just felt so good, right? That was just a little sneaky generosity. So, why am I going on and on about this? Well, part of it is I want you to, I want to live in a generous world. I want to surround myself with people who believe in being generous. And again, not to the point where you're depleted or you go broke because you're so giving, or, none of that, but rather just that you find ways in your life to offer what you can in some way, whether it's sneaky generosity or whether it's some gesture of kindness, like the Dunkin' Donuts, drive-through story, or whether that you could really make a difference in a big way to someone like my former father-in-law was attempting to make to me when I was a college student, just wanting to go on a trip. So you are gifted. You are unique. You are wonderful in your own way. So if you're not already doing so, I would find some way to figure out how you can do a random act of kindness or do something that feels really generous, because again, it's wonderful what you'll be doing for others, and it'll feel so good to them, and it will feel so good to you. It will feel so good to you uh, because it just, when you're contributing to someone else in the world, even if it's a $5 coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, it just feels so good. It just feels so good. And I want you to feel good every day. The secret to having a happy, happy life, whether you're midlife, you're approaching midlife, you're rolling out of midlife into later life, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're up to, it just feels good. Generosity just feels good. And the goal is to be happy every day, right? To experience genuine joy and meaning. That is a meaningful life right there. So trust me about this. Trust me about this. And let me know what you're doing. Tell me about your own sneaky generosity out there. Okay. My email is cindy@cindydwhitmer.com. I want to hear about your sneaky generosity, or whatever, even if it's not sneaky, I want to hear about it. So let's get a movement going of kindness and love and generosity, so we can all feel great about who we are and how we're contributing to the world. Believe me, this will give you a greater sense of purpose in your life and joy, which, hey, what's better than that? So anyway, that's enough of that. I hope you have a wonderful day. Go to timewithcindy.com for that session we're going to have together, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with those that you think would also benefit from what we're doing here. And I will talk to you again soon.